First example of a microphone that we're going to look at today is a lavalier microphone, and the lavalier microphone is held to the wardrobe by a mic clip. Now, something you need to remember about this mic clip is that it doesn't pivot or bend, so you literally have to take it off and flip it over in order to do a woman's blouse versus a men's shirt. All right? So what we're going to do is we're going to put this on me and attach the clip to the microphone like so. Then we're going to create a couple of loops. We're going to create one in front and really one behind. All right, and with the mic properly dressed, you don't have a whole lot of slack showing above the wardrobe, but here at the waistline, you have the cable coming out of the shirt and can be out of the frame. One of the things you really need to be concerned about is placement. Make sure that the microphone is no lower than about 2 inches below the collarbone. This allows for adequate pickup and excellent proximity to the speaker's mouth, but one of the trade-offs is potentially plosives, so we might want to use a windscreen. The windscreen is placed over the top of the mic capsule, okay, and is going to be useful in keeping the microphone from picking up a lot of plosive like T's and D's and K's and things like that. One of the other concerns potentially is wind, and obviously the windscreen is specifically made for that purpose.
Lavaliers are great microphones and can be used for all kinds of purposes, but sometimes, even though they're small, they're just not small enough for some applications. They're just way too prominent. And that's when it's really important to say, hey, how can we hide the microphone? And so I want to teach you a little technique. It's called the sticky mic technique. It requires a microphone and a roll of gaffer's tape. Here's what you do. And so what you start with is you start with your lavalier microphone, and you get the roll of gaffer's tape. And with gaffer's tape, and make sure it's gaffer's tape, not duct tape. Gaffer's tape is a special tape where the glue holds on to the tape, not onto whatever you put it on. So here's what you do. You can see I kind of started rolling the tape. I'm going to have Lynn here hold the tape for me. We're going to roll off a piece, about yay long. And the nice thing about gaffer's tape, you can just rip this stuff off, just like so. What we're going to do is we're going to take the microphone, and I'm going to take the tape here and put the tape around, and we're going to spin it around once. All right? And then what we're going to do is actually move it back around, and I'm going to keep wrapping it around the microphone. Several times here. And depending on how long your shoot might be, how much you wrap it around, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. So what you do, in essence, you got a mic that is sticky and will stick to things. So in the middle of a shirt is not the best place to put it. We want to hide it. So a common place would be, say, hide it underneath the collar. And so what you would do is you would take this, run it up the back, run it under the collar of a shirt, and stick it underneath there, and voila, you can't see it. This one's very prominent. This one here, you can't see it at all. Then you would tape it down the back. Now, the reason why we put a couple layers of tape on here is every once in a while, if you keep taking it on and off, it's going to get, it's not going to stick as well. So all you have to do is come here, take a layer off, undo it, boom, put it back on again. And there you have it. The sticky mic technique. Now, there are going to be scenes where having lavalier microphones just won't work. We've got a little dialogue, some movement in this scene. It's just not going to be all that good. That's where our friend, the shotgun microphone, becomes our best friend. So, hey, let's just talk a little bit about it. This is a shotgun microphone. It's what's actually miking us right now, okay? And there's a couple different techniques that you can do. One is you can mic from up above, or you can bring the mic down below, and you can mic from below. Now, you got to be real careful about this microphone because it actually has a very narrow pattern. And I want you to do it. Lynn and I will have a little dialogue, and we can go back and forth. How are you doing, Lynn?
I'm doing pretty good, Scott. How about you?
Good. What are you doing this weekend?
Probably watch a little bit of football.
Yeah, and do you think OU's going to win?
I think OU will win.
OU always wins. Okay, maybe not always, but a good portion of the time. All right, and notice that the microphone went back and forth with us, and that's what you do. You have to follow it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep talking, and go ahead, and Justin's going to just turn the microphone away, and you're going to see what happens with this. And so as we're talking, and if you turn it a little bit off axis like this, and then turn it back, you can see that the difference with it. And that is because on this microphone is really geared to take any sound from the side and cut it off. It's very directional. So it's very important for you to have this microphone pointing directly at our subject. Okay?
Something else to note too, that the microphone that we're showing today has on it a large woolly windscreen. And sometimes the windscreen will be like this. Sometimes it will be a fabric covered shell. The idea again is to keep wind off of this microphone.
And can I borrow it for a second? It looks something like that. There's some techniques for how you actually work the shotgun microphone. Justin's going to show you some of those.
Okay. Some of the things to keep in mind, you have to be kind of, ready to work with these things because it can be kind of tough holding these for a long period of time, and it can definitely work your arms out. A couple different techniques. If you're going to do an overhead technique, hold it up over here. Some people will do something along these lines, but if you do that, you run the risk of having, friction noise from your head doing this back and forth. So try to hold it up, where it's comfortable for you. You're going to point it. It's very directional, like Scott said. So you're going to point it at the people that are talking, and as they talk, you're going to want to make sure that you follow them as closely as you can with the dialogue. So if you've got two people talking, you'll have to be sure that you're coming back and forth. You don't want to you want to make sure that go over this with your camera operator beforehand to make sure you know where it's going to be to where it's not actually in the shot. Very embarrassing.
You should take it to the point where it's just in the outside of the frame.
Right.
As close as you can. Right,
because you'll be able to pick up the maximum volume without being too close into the shot. You can hold it up overhead like this. You can hold it underneath like this. If you're ever in a situation where you have to rotate it, you have to rotate the entire thing. Don't ever do this because you will pick up all sorts of hand noise from the microphone. We have the windsock up here. We also have a stabilizer that reduces any sort of chance of noise that you'll get from moving it around. It's still, if you make any sort of movements, you have to make sure you kind of are gentle and careful with that, because if you're constantly moving it around, you're going to pick up all sorts of noises from this cord right here and from the microphone shaking around as well.
Another thing to consider in this process is if the boom is overhead, go ahead and bring it up overhead and put it between the light and me. Is the potential for boom shadow. Now, if you'll notice, as he moves the boom up and down, there'll be a shadow that comes across my face. All right. This is from again one of the situations where you want to consider not only the camera position but also the lighting position, so you can avoid the possibility of having boom shadow on your talent.
And another issue, I'm going to borrow the boom here. I'm going to have to talk into it. One of the things you got to realize is that what angle you come in. Sometimes you might be laying on the ground. There are going to be times when you might be easier to come in from the side.
Coming in from the side.
Because you can rotate it.
This allows for flexibility in terms of framing and also in terms of being able to capture the audio without the mic being prominent in the shot.
Yeah, so those are all types of things that you have to consider before, blocking your shots. Make sure you know where your talent's going to be coming in and where the operator's going to be needing to set up.
All right, I'm going to give you the microphone back here.
Okay.
And go ahead and re-mic us here. Now I want to talk about proximity, and you got to make sure it's pointing. And a lot of times, you got to make sure it's pointed right at the mouth. Right like that, you're not going to get me as much as right here. But let's take a look. Right now, we are at 18 or about 18 inches, 15 inches from the mouth. What I want you to do is go ahead and step back towards the camera, and let's see what it's like at, right about there is 6 feet. And you can hear there's a huge difference at 6 feet than you have at 18 inches. And so the closer you get, the better it is. Let's go back towards the camera a little bit more, okay? And bring it down so we see right in the lens there. Pointing towards me, still pointing towards me though. There you go. Tilt up just a little bit. You're not quite on axis. That looks good. We're now at 10 feet, and you can hear that you're getting a lot of other ambient noise. And we're standing in a studio, so the sound is good. You don't have air conditioning noises. If there was directly behind this microphone over here an air conditioning, it's in that path of pickup, in the pickup zone, and you're going to pick up that just as well as you're going to pick up us. So be careful what's in the whole pattern of the pickup zone.
Along those same lines, there's a rule called inverse square law. And inverse square law works with lighting as well as it works with sound. So the idea is you want that mic as close as possible without being in the shot so you can pick up the best possible sound. Because the further away you get with the microphone, the less sound is going to be transmitted to that microphone. And it's going to be a problem for you in post. It's going to be a problem if you have to do overdubs or ADR work. And as Scott mentioned, anything that's in the path of that microphone, even in the background, is going to be likely picked up by the microphone.
Yeah. So good luck with this, and happy techniques, and good audio.